Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, identities, and more, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is none other than Galaxy 4, a doomed planet with two species fighting for survival. Which one will win and which one will lose? Who will find themselves at the bottom of the planet, and who will survive the reckoning of the dying world? The Doctor, Vicky, and Stephen all land on a planet in the fourth galaxy. The first species they encounter is a species that pretty much gets nicknamed the Jumblies by Vicky. Her explanation for the reason she calls them a Jumbly is because of the way that they shift along. And the Doctor and his friends soon realise that the Jumblies are being under threat by a separate species. Another group they encounter of aliens is the Dravins, and the Dravins pretty much land on the planet, and although that they've had a quarrel with the Jumblies, they pretty much end up in a situation of cross-lock. Or, as you might prefer to call it, checkmate. The Dravins and the Jumblies pretty much crash land on the planet below, and have been fighting with each other ever since. Although the Jumblies have offered the advantage of space travel along with technological advancement to the Dravins see them as inferior and believe that they must be destroyed. The one noticeable thing you will notice about all the Dravins is they are all women, and when Stephen begins to question this, he asks whether back on their home planet, whether they have men. And Marga responds that they do, but the roles have been reversed, and essentially the men are used as labour forces whilst the women accelerate to scientific and roles of pretty much authority in the world. They use their men for reproduction, but other than that, they don't see them as anything more than baby makers. Stephen is disgusted by this, but the Doctor sees it with an open mind, and rather than judging Marga and the Dravins, decides to take them at face value. However, he begins to become agitated when he wants to go off and look for their young friend Vicky, who has been taken in by the Jumblies. The Doctor then makes a deal with the Dravins that they can keep Stephen so long as he can go off and find out the truth behind the Jumblies. When the Doctor is reunited with Vicky, he soon learns that the Jumblies aren't as cruel as the Dravins have made them out to be. He also learns that they have been trying to help the Dravins to escape the planet, but after learning a sinister plot that the Dravins want to destroy them and leave them for dust on the planet, the Doctor then summarises that both groups are completely wrong on their time cycles. They don't have less than a few hours until the planet fully disrupts and is uninhabitable for all. The Doctor manages to reunite with Stephen and Vicky as they both come up with a plan for escaping the planet by tricking the Dravins into believing that they are going to help them and capture the Jumblies. However, they leave the Dravins and the Jumblies in their bitter war, but manage to give them enough energy that they should be able to get off the planet. However, before this and midway through the story, Stephen is trapped as the Dravins begin to threaten him with the airlock. They believe Stephen to be inferior and pretty much nothing more than a tantruming child. Stephen, however, eventually manages to re-get his strength and help the Doctor out with the further plan. After leaving the planet to its destruction, the Doctor, Vicky, and Stephen suddenly see the price of war, and the Doctor points out to his companions that he believes that maybe deep down in their hearts, both species are more alike than they see, and after all, they can't be that bad. Now, I've seen what survives of this story, and I remember listening to it before it was animated. Galaxy 4 honestly is one of my favourite stories on the basis of the design of both the Dravens and the Jumblies. The Jumblies are just adorable. I honestly don't know why they haven't been back in Modern Who. I also like the idea that they may have weaponry, but it's more for self defense than to attack people. Whereas the Dravens are more of a military based idea. And I also like the childishness that Stephen points out about the Dravens, which is actually kind of a irony between them and Marga. Is Marga is their leader and they follow her blindly. But when Stephen points this out, the Dravens kind of start to get annoyed because they suddenly realise that they can think for themselves. So overall, what did I think of this story? It's a brilliant story, brilliant plot. Uh, Maybe not the longest and most dramatic story, but even though you may know the plot, it's still very enjoyable to watch. I also love the addition, though, in the animated version, where they really go all out on the effects, from the cracking of the planet to the two ships colliding in space. All these little things really makes this story stand out, and for that reason I give Galaxy 4 a solid 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and have an incredible night or day, you beautiful people.